Hi and welcome everybody who are watching us online. And I'd like to welcome Simen Agdestein. I'm very happy that you accepted the invitation and we can talk here right now. I remember when I was a kid, I must tell you that I was very much admiring your career as I was a teenager when you were still professional chess player and an athlete in football. And it was kind of ununderstandable for me and my sisters that how is it possible to be so good in two different topics, two different sports. So actually, I want to ask the first question. What was first for you? Was it chess or soccer that you had the love for?
I started playing soccer first. I played soccer my whole life, or since I was 6 or 7 or something. Actually, I played chess too, I must admit, but I kind of stopped when I was 7. But I come from a chess family just like you, and but my chess playing kind of started when I was 11, actually, a bit late. But it was kind of then it started.
And how did you start to play chess?
It was my father following the Karpov-Korsna match in 1978. I remember it very well. So that was what woke my curiosity.
How did you combine it from the very beginning? Was it, I remember I was reading, you're saying that when things go badly in chess, then you were kind of happy to go on to football. And when things go not so well in football, you were happy to go back to chess. So you could always find something that you were looking forward and you got positive successes.
Actually, in the beginning, everything went quite fine. So it was all fun right from all the first year was just fun. It was fun improving in chess and soccer. I just played for fun. I had no idea I was anything particular in soccer, but I was on an under-17 national team too. So I wasn't that bad already when I was young, but I didn't really think of myself as a soccer player. I thought of myself as a chess player, and that was my passion. Football was just for fun.
Well, let's see a picture. I see this was probably later in your career, as we see Caruana on the picture. But how was your preparation when you were focusing on the chess tournaments? While did you have trainers yourself? Who were your coach? How did you develop your strength?
Not really. I didn't really have any trainers like Michael Adams and perhaps a few others. I'm the Western style with no trainer or anything. So I just played a lot with my brother. I was passionate about the game. I could sit the whole days and work my way through those horrible, not horrible, those were the Bibles of the day, the informant, you know, before the computer era. So, but it was no system. I had no trainer. I just played in my local club where the level was a bit lower. So I was just having fun and it worked. I think I had a good talent. I used to say if I just could train half as much as the others, I would perhaps be twice as good as them or something. But I think it was a good connection, a good combination with the soccer because I was very fit, which was good for the chess, obviously. And
is this something comes for Magnus as well, you think, that he also plays soccer pretty actively? Because it's, I'm sure it's part of his huge success as well.
Yeah, he's a sportman. He loves everything. He goes skiing. He's he likes fun of everything, I think. So it's not because it's not to be good in chess that he's doing all this sport. It's just because he's passionate about sport as well. And he's a follower too. He knows the results and everything. When I did my sport, I only did it myself. I couldn't care about Liverpool or anything. I just thought it was fun to play myself. But Magnus is following basket teams and everything. So he's much more of a sport person than I am, actually, I think. And
It seems like when you do something, you really get the flow and you really focus so much in that. Is that true?
yeah, I was in a flow from 11 till I broke my knee. So it was a 10-year-long flow when everything went wonderfully in chess and football. In other aspects of life, that's another story because you felt a little bit outside the. I was a bit different. I spent half of my time traveling and so on. So, and I moved to Oslo when I was 15, which I was quite happy with. So, I wasn't very social when I was young. So I suffered. Some other areas suffered because of all the chess and football playing. But it was a good combination because I got my social environment through the football, and yeah, all went fine. I saw no limits. I thought I could become the world champion if I just wanted to. I was kind of, but that was not. It didn't matter if it was real or not. But that was what I believed. And
You
because
really
I
had the
believed it,
self-confidence.
I had enormous self-confidence because I had no setbacks at that time. So I think that helped. And that's the same in Magnus. I think we thought right from the beginning that he had the potential to become the very best in the world. And if it was real, and for him it was obviously real. But
How could you set for yourself to have this mindset? Did it come naturally, or what do you think? Did you ever thought of it? That why did you have this self-confidence and go for it, and you had this great passion?
I did have respect for the old guys, I must say, Korchnoi and Timman and so on. Everyone that was older than me, I respected a lot. So I actually struggled a bit with those old guys. But
and did you look at their games, or you respected them by experiencing some lessons from them, or the books?
It was more that they were the good guys when I was young. When I was very little, I looked up to Korchnoi and Timman and so on. And when I finally met them, I kind of overestimated them a bit, I think. Or, of course, you should not overestimate it, but they're good, of course. They're very good. But if you should beat them, you have to have the confidence. And I didn't have the confidence to match those, the old guys. I struggled with them. Back in those days, but I didn't have a long career. It was very short, actually. So, but
I find it very interesting when you have your role models or your people who you look up to, and later on you are going to be playing against them. I think it's very difficult to break that difficult moment that you were looking them like really gods, and then suddenly you happen to play against them.
Exactly, and I thought I had to play like God too. I didn't trust that my normal play would be good enough. But that experience, I think, I brought on to my students. It wasn't only Magnus that has played on terms with Kasparov, because he made a simul in New York once, some years ago, and one of my students drew him. That was kind of a sensational. Because, playing Kasparov in a simul, he wants to win everything.
Yes.
But we talked about this. I talked about this. I'm very aware of that thing that you look up to, that you play against your idols and so on.
Yeah. What was a bigger thrill for you? Selected to the national team of chess or in the soccer?
The chess was kind of a little bit special. That was just escaping from the real life, and it was just me somewhere in the world, and it was all by myself, like a yoga exercise or something. But I wouldn't say, I can't remember. I forget very quickly the results, actually, but I have good memories by small things like scoring a goal and such things. I don't have any results that I'm particularly proud of or happy with it, but I still remember my one goal that I scored for Norway, for instance, just as I remember a goal I scored at the training, I will never forget it. Such things. But I'm very little focused on the results.
Well, we see on this picture that probably you scored. Somehow it seems like it, right?
That's me, and actually, I see it's Lars Bohin. He scored against England. He became a professional. He's the guy to the left there. He played 80 matches for Norway or something.
So when you were making trainings in soccer and you were making trainings in chess, were there anything that you could implement from one to another? Like in chess, you were doing something and you were taking it with you in soccer? Or the other way around?
Probably, I think I brought with me the thing that I had the confidence that I believed and the experience of being in flow. I had that experience in soccer until I came on the national team. Then I suddenly felt all the pressure and all that. So that was a completely different sport.
How did you deal with pressure? What
Not
do you
very
think?
well. I wish I could have lasted longer because it takes experience. Suddenly you hear there are people from Queen's Park Rangers watching you. I played horrible when I heard such things. Newspapers are watching you. I didn't handle the stress very well. So, but I think maybe if I got a few more years, I perhaps would have handled it better. But at that time, I was very up and down in soccer after I came on the national team. And I was very easily disturbed by comments by a trainer, other things.
So what do you see? Where do you see yourself if you wouldn't have that serious knee injury? How would be your career go? Would you be a professional soccer player or chess player?
So.
Or you would still do both?
I would have kept on playing soccer for sure. That was what I was kind of doing. And I would have continued. And this was just before Norway entered a fantastic era. We came to the World Cup, World Championship, World Cup twice. We beat Brazil and so on. And that were my team kind of that had all that success. So I would have continued playing soccer. I'm absolutely sure.
Do you think you would be more serious about that than chess?
I had the idea that when I had fun and relaxed, then I did my best. So I wasn't kind of. And that was the problem, to have fun and with all the pressure. But if I'd been more serious, perhaps I would have done more. I would have avoided accidents or injuries and so on, probably, because I was quite thin at that moment. I didn't train my body. I just played football for fun. I didn't train my muscles, which I should have done. Then I would perhaps have prevented the knee injury. There's a lot of things I should have done.
Let's see a beautiful game from your career, chess career, as when I asked you to share with me a few nice games and you sent a few, I loved this one, so that's why I picked this. This was played against Dolmatov, who was also a top grandmaster from Russia. And what can you tell about this game, this tournament, and the idea you played here, H4?
This is played in Holland, and it's after. For me, everything was before and after. I had a quite bad accident, injury, and the whole body and everything collapsed. I couldn't play chess, I couldn't play soccer, I couldn't do anything actually for quite a while. So a couple of years after, I played in Holland. And it was just random. So occasionally I played okay. Most of the times I played quite badly. In this tournament I played okay. I beat Ivanchuk in a game. And I found this nice combination. You see the end of it here, H4. The thing was that I had to see this a few moves ago, which I'm quite proud of, because
H4 is a very nice move, attacking move, but of course some people may ask, why did you sacrifice it? So what is your plan after Queen A4, right?
Yes, I got some credit because people noticed the next move, Bishop E2. Yeah, it's quite plain. It's clear. It's not complicated. It's a straight line, but it's forced mate, I think, or winning material or something.
I think this is why I like this game of yours, because it's so purely, everything is so perfect. Everything is matching in this position that with bishop e2 you cover the d1 square so the black queen cannot check there. And at the same time, actually, you're threatening with your pawn move h5.
Yes. I kind of have two games that I'm kind of remember with. I'm very rarely proud of my games. They're not big, great masterpieces, but they have a couple of nice combinations, and this is the one. Another one was against Polgar. Those two are kind of my two classic.
Well, I think you're too modest in your results and achievements in both sports. But let's see how you continued. You played h5, right?
It's not about modesty. It's it's just I expect more. I'm not that happy with things. I do my mistakes and then I'm dissatisfied, although I kind of do something good during game. But
yes, I think
this
it
is
also,
nice. This is clean.
But this means also, I think we have a lot of self-critics, we chess players, and I think it's very important in our growth that if we are always happy what we're doing, then we are not going to grow in our mind and we are not going to improve in whatever field we are. And I think this is something probably why you also improve and excel in every field what you're doing. As when we are self-critical, I think it's part of being a professional chess player that you always want to do a little better next time.
Exactly. It's kind of double-edged because it's quite stressful. I'm very rarely happy. I don't relax and enjoy that champagne because I've done something good, because I kind of tend to focus on the stupid things I've done, which is not so smart, I think.
But in this game, after black did not play knight h5, but if black would have done, you would be taking it. And the idea is to give checkmate with queen g5. Beautiful mate.
Yes.
Not an everyday happening, I must say. So black played king h6, but here you still had to be very precise. You took on f6, queen e7, king h6, and you just made the most precise move playing queen d6, and in the next move, if black goes out with the king, then queen d6 with the check, taking the bishop. So I really love this game because, as you said, that you had to calculate it further than actually what we started out of h4. And I think there are some great games which you remember with pleasure, right?
Yeah, there are games, absolutely, and I remember, but I don't linger on them very much. I kind of linger on if I slept well tonight and I'm happy, or if I haven't, if I didn't. I don't care so much about what I've done actually. More focused on
how much
today.
do you play? How much do you play competitively these days?
As little as possible, because I play so horribly. Or I play okay, and then I do some blunder, and then I destroy everything. A clear sign of elderness, I think.
But you are
I see many other. It's kind of a relief to see that also the very best do horrible mistakes.
Well,
it's human. It's only human.
Maybe you do mistakes, but one thing is a fact, and it's very clear, and the whole world knows it, that you're the person who discovered our world champion in the very beginning, as I remember. And I have a very funny story. I don't know if you remember. When I was playing in Benidorm in a rapid tournament, and you were playing there as well, and we were watching a game running in the end of the game, and we were standing next to each other in the audience, and then you were whispering to my ear that Magnus Carlsen. And then I didn't understand what you want to say to me. And then you repeated it and said, remember this name because you're going to hear a lot about him.
Yes.
So how was the discovery?
It was very obvious, but there were people who didn't kind of see it. I talked to people who didn't see anything in particular, but to me it was very obvious.
What was so obvious for you about Magnus, that he's a talent, an exceptional talent?
You can see it. I just saw him playing against one of my students at Gausdal, a Norwegian chess place. And he was a rook down, actually, or he was a rook up. He was a rook up, but he didn't manage to win. I think that was kind of one of his first tournaments. His rating was 900. That's what he started with. But the talent was obvious, and he lived just around, not far from the school where I have my chess department. And we invited him to train with us once a week. And the perspective, at least from my point of view, the perspective was not to become the world champion, but to master the game to the completeness. Then the result would be becoming a world champion. And that was actually just what Magnus said when he became world champion. I noticed that because he said, or he was asked, what now? And he said, I have lots of things to learn yet, he said. So he was focusing on his chess even when he became world champion. And that's what we only focused on chess or process, as Arthur Kogan is so happy about talking about. And the results came very quickly, of course. But the focus was never on that.
What was the most impressing for you by Magnus? And how did you feel that in what sense you could help him the most?
It's basically he had it in him. So it's not only me, it's just this is my students, it's his friend at my school, it's the whole environment, just to let the plant has some seed or what is it called, soil to grow in. So the talent was kind of it's not that we did anything in particular. It's just that it was fun for him, I think. For instance, when we trained with him, we had another couple of kids to train with him. We were training Magnus, that was the project, but just to make it more fun, we trained a couple of kids too. So we trained Magnus and 2 other kids. They came once a week. The other kids were just to make it more fun for Magnus.
Well, it means that you could really give your passion for the game towards your students, and especially to Magnus. But on the picture, we see that it's very clear that you have a very special, very nice friendship, that you're really happy together.
Yes, this was in Libya, actually, the first World Cup. Magnus was 13, had just become a grandmaster. And he was playing Aronian. We knew in a couple of months in advance, but it was impossible to make Magnus prepare anything until the evening before the game, which was very typical.
So going back a little bit, you're kind of too modest on this also. That what did you suggest to Magnus in the very beginning? What kind of books to work on? What kind of approach to have in openings? Which part of the game is the most essential? What is the whole game about?
The first year he trained with my assistant. I had an assistant that year. That was Torbjørn Ringdal Hansen. His rating was about 2000, and he's become a grandmaster too. And he just picked something from I have a big library, lots of books, and he just picked something random. It wasn't anything in particular. He just played through games from a book. And when I started after a year, he said, "Now it's too strong for me. You have to take over." We did never use the computer. We just analyzed with a board. We analyzed his games. We perhaps spent 1 hour on a game, and I was critical of often because I was kind of going much deeper than him at those days, which I thought was a general feature of less good players, that I didn't see very deep. So we were just analyzing games, and it felt like talking with a professor. We had discussions on a professor level, and with a little boy, 10-year-old.
But I think it must have been a fantastic help for him that the #1 player in Norway, who is not only #1 in Norway, but you were top 20 player in the world, helping, advising, and giving the experience to him, and talking with him like friends, and on equal terms, even though in the beginning he was still on a lower level. Did you pay attention specifically on endgames, or not too much?
His endgame was quite bad, actually. First, it was a problem that his endgame was bad. And then I just mentioned the book. Actually, I have it here, just in front of me. This one. I'm using it still today. I can promote this book.
So this is the secret of Magnus's endgame skills.
And then he read this book, and then his endgames, and since then his endgame skill has been fantastic. And I saw Magnus thanked me because for a good advice that he should be able to handle every opening, simply everything. Everything is interesting. And all games, the focus is not to win the game, the focus is to learn as much as possible. Therefore, you cannot play things you know before. You have to play things you don't know very well, openings you don't know very well, because then there is much more to learn, such things. So when he played the same opening maybe 3 times, I just said, perhaps you should play something else. And he kind of felt like he listened to everything. And I also talked a lot with his father, because his family, those are the people who are closest to him. So I was kind of hoping to influence indirectly through his father, by kind of giving my experience, pass it on to him. So it wasn't all directly to Magnus. But as Magnus said, he doesn't really need... when he was a little bit older, when he was 14 or 15 and so on, he traveled around with not a great grandmaster or second, he just traveled with some friends, because he had the chess in himself, but he wanted to have someone to play with and have fun with, to play tennis with or whatever. And I think Petter Heine is saying something similar these days, that his main job is just to be a playmate for Magnus, because he's got the chess in him.
One thing is sure, you made great mentoring and coaching and great mindset, what you passed on, Magnus. And then you were playing in one national team. How was it when he was still very young? I think he was not more than 13 or something. How was it for you to play next to your student and an exceptional one?
Yeah, I felt a bit stupid because he was so little and so strong. So I was kind of waiting for him to grow up a little bit, because when you play him, you see how he looks like. It wasn't so easy. Actually, at least it was hard to play him when he was so little. But it was an adventure right from the beginning. He came and he played fantastic chess. I played horrible in a couple of Olympiads. I played very well before my knee injury, and I played some horrible Olympiads afterward.
Well, I'm pretty sure it gave even more confidence to Magnus to know that he's taking over the #1 Norwegian player and his coach. And then later he became world champion some years after, which actually you just told me that you got a special message from the Prime Minister when this happened, and things somehow got out of control, you said. And the next picture I want to show, you can tell us a little bit about it. You were being included in a rap song about Magnus after his victory?
Yes, because chess kind of exploded in Norway. It has become a huge TV sport, which is wonderful. And we're sitting in studios commentating. We have the best TV people you can think of, making good TV out of chess, which is wonderful. And one of the things they do is to invite different people to studio, and I had a rap artist at my studio, and that ended up with a song. And it's downloaded a few million times on Spotify. And
this we're also going to show later.
Yeah, I've been singing at a concert with 6,000 people. But most of those concerts is with playback. But I didn't use playback, at least what I think. So I like to sing, actually. But that thing is kind of a fake thing. It's they do things to make it sound okay. And this was after a World Championship match in New York. That was against Karyakin or Karana, I can't remember. Karyakin,
I think it must have been the first match against Karyakin.
Yeah,
Karjakin.
And then at 2 o'clock or something at night, because it was the American time zone, and we invited people to come downtown Oslo to celebrate that Magnus has defended his title and so on. We expected kind of millions to come, but none come actually. But we tried to make people sing there, and I used that recording from there. I didn't get a second chance or something singing, so it's all been manipulated, actually.
Well, I'm very much impressed about your achievements, what you did as a sport athlete in chess and in soccer, and the personality you are, and that actually you were one of the main person who discovered reigning world champion Magnus Carlsen. And my foundation, the Judit Polgar Chess Foundation, is for the 3rd year already. We are giving out special award, Goodwill Ambassador awards, to those special people who we consider that they really contributed quite a bit to the chess scenes, and they are very interesting and rounded personalities. So this is why we are so glad to give you the Goodwill Ambassador of Chess as a sport. And because we do consider that you're a real ambassador for chess, and I know that you're also having an academy and teaching kids, so please accept our award.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor, really. Thank you.
Thank you. So as a last question, I would like to ask to close up this interview that if you have a chance to look some amazing chess event, Magnus playing, or a fantastic football match, which do you choose?
I like to watch Magnus playing Blitz World Championship or something. Just anything Magnus plays. I prefer that. Actually, they're good. Those people at Chess24 are great. I think it's not only Norwegian TV that makes great chess recordings these days. So it's been a fantastic internet sport too, chess, I think, with Magnus.
Well, Simen, thank you very much for being with us for this roughly half an hour, and you shared your thoughts about your career as a sport athlete in chess and in football, and your activities, what you did with Magnus, and your thoughts about the chess games. I think you really did a great job, and I'm pretty sure we're going to meet more, and you do a lot of great work in your teaching, and you will discover more talents in Norway, and you flourish the Norwegian chess. Thanks very much.
Thank you.